Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Poulenc, Essential Works for Beginners. This is a list that some of you have asked for. Excuse me. And I'm absolutely delighted to be able to provide it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fabulous pieces for you to explore at your leisure and convenience. Poulenc was a fabulous composer. Well, I mean, they're all fabulous, right? But I mean, he was a wonderfully distinctive composer. His music is witty and sentimental and jazzy and classical. He's just an amazing mixture of elements. It's a blending that nobody else had. And he had this ability, this chameleon-like ability to move from like Mozart to jazz to Parisian cabaret music, all within like 2 bars. His music happens in little bits, and those little bits can be in any style at all, and he somehow manages to join them all together in a way which is inimitable. Yes, totally inimitable. So let's just go down the list and talk about some of these works. First, his ballet, Les Biches. No one's quite sure what happens in Les Biches, actually. It has to do with young girls running around looking for dates and things like that. But it's perfect Poulenc. It's exactly what his style is. And it's tuneful, incredibly tuneful and melodic. The complete ballet has some songs mixed in with it. It's got some choral bits, but you can get the suite. And, either way, whatever makes more sense for you, the tunes will be stuck in your brain forever. I have them as ringtones on my phone. Oh, gosh, it's fun. Absolutely marvelous. Next, we're going to go totally to the opposite end of the universe. He wrote beautiful sacred music. He was a practicing Catholic, a serious believer, and his sacred works are absolutely glorious. They have some fun elements in them, but one of his best known, one of the ones I happen to sing, so I can speak from experience, are his Christmas motets. There are 4 of them. Hodie, that's the last one. Quem vidistis pastores, o magnum mysterium, Quem vidistis pastores, o magnum mysterium. I know there's 4 of them. I sang them when I was in college. It was a while ago. I can still sing the tenor parts and some of the alto parts. I was a baritralto. Baratenor. I sang whatever they needed reinforcement on, because in those days, I had quite the flexible voice, and it was loud and obnoxious. Anyway, they're fabulous, fabulous pieces. And if you want some really good Christmas music, and not like the usual, grandma got run over by a reindeer, that sort of thing, then try the Poulenc Christmas motets. They're absolutely fantastic. Then his organ concerto. Now, this is a piece that begins with a literal quotation, or just about a literal quotation, from Bach. Bach's organ music. It sounds just like Bach, and then with extra dissonance sort of piled in, some sort of jazzy or bluesy moments. And like I said, it's Poulenc. It's this strange mixture. It's written for organ, strings, and timpani. And then it's got like carnival music. Actually, if you listen to the organ concerto and you hear that tune, it's in like everything he wrote. There are certain melodies and patterns. Once you get to know Poulenc, one of the wonderful things about getting to know Poulenc actually is that the better you know him, the more you begin to hear his personal style. Despite the unbelievable range and eclectic mixture of elements that go into it, there are certain melodic patterns and things that he always used. That was one of them. And so you'll hear some of those too, and you'll get to be familiar with it. And it's just a wonderful thing when you really know it well. One of his earliest but most charming and delightful works is his trio for piano, oboe, and bassoon. Now, Poulenc didn't particularly care for stringed instruments. He preferred woodwinds. He liked their dry, snappy sound better than the more sentimental sound of violins and things like that, although he wrote very well for violins when he wanted to. But the trio for piano, oboe, and bassoon is one of his neoclassical works. And his teacher, or whoever he was, at some point said to him, write something like Haydn. Well, this was his version of Haydn, sort of. The finale, again, it's got a tune that's going to get stuck in your brain. Da 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 ba da dum bum bum ba ba da da dum ba da da dum ba da. I mean, it's just toe-tappingly, unbelievably catchy. Really, really delightful. But then it alternates with this very soulful, sort of romantic melody, and it's all kept beautifully proportioned and wonderfully controlled by Poulenc's own sense of shape and of rhythm and of melody and timing. He had great timing. Some composers have lousy timing. Poulenc had great timing. He gives you just enough to know where you are and what's going on, and then he changes it. So you never get bored. I mean, he's never dull. Then, after that, another sacred work. This one for chorus and orchestra, because the Christmas motets are for choir all by themselves, or all by itself. The Gloria. His Gloria is his most popular choral work. It's incredibly beautiful. The second movement, the Laudamus Te, was inspired by what he meant, he said, by a bunch of nuns playing soccer. I mean, that's what he saw, and that's what it sounds like. It's Laudamus Te, benedicimus te, adoramus te. I mean, you know, you're going to wind up singing it better than me, which is not hard to do. You're going to wind up just humming it to yourself. It's that lovely. So the Gloria is great. Now a concerto. How about let's do a concerto? The Concerto champêtre. That means countryside concerto. It's originally written, and that's the way we usually hear it, for harpsichord and orchestra. It was commissioned by Wanda Landowska, the great harpsichordist at the beginning of the 20th century, or in the first decades thereof. The tunes are so catchy. It's just going to blow your mind. You can also play it on a regular piano, and there have been some recordings of it for that configuration. But the best way to hear it is with a harpsichord. The important thing is to get a big, gazunga harpsichord, not one of these little period instrument thingies, because Landowska had a specially built Pleyel harpsichord that had extra stops and keyboards and things, and it could make quite a sound. You've got to balance it against the orchestra, and that's a tough thing. But if you listen to, the recordings in the EMI Poulenc edition, for example, with Amy Van de Waal, you get the right sound. And my goodness, it's fun. Or Susana Růžičková, the great Czech harpsichordist with Kurt Sanderling on super fun. There are some fabulous recordings, and I've, reviewed this thing a million times because I love it. It's like one of my favorite concertos. So you can just listen to that, and you'll hear the tune from the organ concerto in the finale. Ya da 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 da. Just like in the organ concerto. Yes, da 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 da. It's all that family of themes. It's quite marvelous. Then there's another chamber work, his Sextuor, which is a sextet for piano and winds. It's for piano and wind quintet, basically. And oh my goodness, is that fun. It's zany. It's like cartoon music in places. It has amazingly beautiful tunes, which you'll hear in the central movement primarily. But a lot of it is it's like jazzy, crazy cartoon music. This is music to fall in love with. It really is. I shouldn't need to promote it, so much, because you just have to listen to it. When you listen to it, it immediately grabs you and does what it's supposed to do. So the sextet is also worth hearing. And then Poulenc was a fabulous songwriter. He was one of the great songwriters of the 20th century. His songs are mostly very short. They set absolutely lovely poetry. And he used to agonize over word setting. He wanted his texts to be pellucidly clear, the music to support each nuance of the words. And his style was perfect for that because, like I said, he wrote in small little bits. So he could take a phrase or a couple of words and set it to one kind of music and join it to another kind, but he would take months over a single line of poetry. I mean, he really, really cared. And he wrote some beautiful little song cycles. One of the most lovely is the one called Tel jour, telle nuit. Such a day, such a night. What that means is anybody's guess. And you need to really follow the words when you listen to his songs. But it's been recorded many, many times. And you can get, there are lots of discs of his songs. I mean, they're very, very popular with classical song people. As well they should be. I mean, they're just fabulous. And so if you're interested in classical song, then you should definitely listen to Poulenc's Lieder, his songs. Well, they're not Lieder, they're French. They're melodies. So, it's Lieder if it's German and melodie if it's French, or chanson or something like that. Anyway, they're great. They're absolutely great. And so to start you off, try Tel jour, telle nuit, and see what you think. Just take each little poem as it comes. I can't go through it in detail in the context of this little talk, but that's just something to keep in mind. And you can dip in really anywhere in his song output because they're just fabulous pieces. Then there's another concerto. He wrote a fabulous concerto for two pianos, and there are a couple of recordings with him playing it with one partner or another. Oh, it's fun. It's really fun. It's kind of like silent movie music and jazz and Balinese, gamelan, exotic Far Eastern stuff, and Mozart. That's sort of the combination at work in this particular piece. It's an extremely popular piece. There is no greater work for two pianos and orchestra. And so, whenever people want to do something with two pianos and orchestra, they generally drag out this and Mozart's Concerto for two pianos, of course. I mean, those are kind of the ones. I mean, there are more, but those are the two biggies. And, he didn't write symphonies. He wasn't into that. He did write, like as you can see, we have three concertos here. There are two others, actually. There's the Oboe, which is a ballet concerto, and a piano concerto. And they're all worth hearing. I mean, they really are. But for this particular list to get you going, start with the double piano concerto because you'll just fall in love with it immediately. I guarantee it. And after that, finally, well, this is the biggie. This is the thing that you really, really, once you know you like him, ought to experience, which is his big opera, Dialogues of the Carmelites. It's a fabulous story. It's about a woman named Blanche de la Force who's neurotic and she hates the universe, and she's around during the French Revolution, and she decides to get away from the world by joining a convent. But because it's the French Revolution, that convent becomes the subject of suspicion of the revolutionary government, and all of the nuns are sentenced to death by guillotine. And she runs away because she is running away all the time. But at the very end, she decides to return and join her sisters as they one by one get their heads chopped off to the most beautiful setting of the Salve Regina you've ever heard. It's the most sadomasochistic finale in all of opera because the music is glorious and what's happening is just grisly and gut-wrenching. And it's one of those pieces. It's in individual little scenes. They're set almost like giant songs with beautiful setting of the text. Poulenc insisted that it be performed in the language of whatever country it was played in. So when they did it at the Metropolitan Opera, for example, it was performed in English. And when the premiere was in Italy, it was done in Italian. Most recordings are in French, although there's a very good English language version on the Chandos label, if you're curious. Maybe the words aren't as clear as they should be. Because I remember seeing it at the Metropolitan Opera where the at one point in the opera, the first prioress, the head of the convent, is terminally ill and she dies. And she has a terribly difficult death, very painful. And the new prioress comes in the next scene. But the old prioress was sung by Régine Crespin, one of the great dramatic French sopranos. And, everybody else was singing in English because it was an English cast, and she was French, and you could understand every word that she sang in English, and you couldn't understand anything anybody else said in English because her diction was just crystal clear. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, it's a magnificent opera that you can take in small bits, in small doses, and enjoy it at your leisure. It really is a very, very special work. I mean, a piece that embodies sort of everything that, Poulenc could do as a dramatist, particularly. And there are two other operas. They're all very strange and very different. One of them is a monodrama, La Voix Humaine, the human voice, about a woman who's getting constantly disconnected. She's talking to her lover and winds up strangling herself with a phone cable. And the other is The Breasts of Tiresias, a very crazy, wacko, absurdist comic opera, which is delicious, absolutely delicious, and funny as hell. But it didn't go over too well in the wake of World War II, when France was largely destroyed, and he was writing this funny opera telling everyone to have children. But anyway, that's Poulenc. I mean, he had his tongue firmly in his cheek, and his music is unlike anything else you're ever going to hear. It's a joy to get to know it. It really is. You'll just feel great having done it. So there's the list. Give it a shot and enjoy. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.